We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise, and that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one, or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
You open the fridge, there's nothing there. So what's it gonna be? Greasy pizza? Sad drive-thru burgers? Dish by Blue Apron is for nights like that. These are the pre-made meals of your dreams. At least 20 grams of protein, no artificial flavors or colors, no chopping, no cleanup, no guilt. Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise, and that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one, or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and welcome to the Whispering Woods Extra. I've got some more Pukwudgie stories to share with you today, and I'll get straight into them. Are you ready for the stories? In the mountains of western Northern Carolina, hundreds of miles from traditional Wampanoag territory, a teenager named Chris had no knowledge of Pukwudgie lore, but he would soon become intimately acquainted with the phenomenon. One summer evening in 2003, 14-year-old Chris was walking a wooded path near his home when he had an unnerving experience. From high up in the trees, he felt eyes on him. Glancing upward, he spotted a small spindly figure clinging in the branches. In the dying light, it reminded him bizarrely of a monkey. An orangutan lemur hybrid was how he described it later. The creature was about 3 feet tall, with a thin, wiry build and a covering of light brownish hair. It peered at him from behind the leaves, studying him. For a long moment, boy and creature stared at one another in mutual shock. Then, in a flash of motion, the strange little being leapt away through the canopy and vanished into the forest without a trace. Chris was left standing in the path, wondering if he'd lost his mind. He half expected to hear a thud or see an escaped pet lemur scampering off. But the woods were deathly silent. In the days that followed, he scoured local news for any reports of escaped exotic animals. Nothing. Hesitant to tell anyone what he saw, Chris eventually tried to write it off, a moment of misidentification or an overactive imagination. He pushed the incident out of his mind. Years passed. But the woods did not forget him. Almost 2 decades later, as an adult, Chris happened upon a podcast about the Pukwudgie legend. The description of the creature sent chills down his spine. It matched what he had seen in the treetop that day exactly. Chris realised that, unknowingly, he might have encountered one of these little wild men. This revelation nagged at him, stirring up old curiosity and old fears. Against his better judgment, he decided to return to that patch of woods to see if anything unusual might happen. Perhaps it was a foolish dare to himself, or perhaps the Pukwudgie still lingered and was subtly calling him back. One crisp afternoon, Chris hiked alone in the familiar grove of trees where he'd seen the creature years before. The forest was quiet, except for the crunch of his boots. He stood under the tree where those glowing eyes had been and called out softly, feeling a bit ridiculous. "Hello, is anyone there?" Only the rustle of the breeze answered. He waited, simultaneously hoping and dreading to see a small shape scampering in the canopy. Nothing. Eventually, as twilight settled, Chris sighed and turned back toward the trailhead. Perhaps whatever he saw was long gone. He didn't realise his mistake until something whizzed by his ear. A small stone smashed against a tree trunk inches from his head. Chris ducked. Another pebble zipped out of the darkness, this one hitting the ground near his feet. He spun around and caught sight of a tiny silhouette perched on a rocky ledge about 20 yards behind him. The outline was a humanoid, but diminutive, the size of a child, and it skittered to hide the instant he spotted it. Adrenaline surged. Someone or something was throwing rocks at him. Chris called out, "Who's there?" his voice betraying his fear. An eerie giggle echoed between the trees. Another pebble came sailing, this time striking him hard in the shoulder. Chris yelped. That was no accident. It was a deliberate throw with intent to hit. He fumbled for his flashlight and shone it toward the ledge. For just a second, the beam caught 2 glowing eyes and a flash of leathery grey skin. A small face peered from behind a boulder, and then it was gone in a blur of motion. It looked like the same creature he'd seen as a teen, now showing itself, only to pelt him with stones and taunt him. The realization hit him that he had essentially provoked it by coming back. A warning crystal clear formed in his mind. Leave. The air around him felt charged with hostility. He didn't need a second sign. Chris took off running down the darkening trail, while behind him, just out of sight, small stones continued to patter through the leaves. A high-pitched, chittering laugh, almost like mocking laughter, followed him part of the way. By the time he reached the safety of his vehicle, Chris was shaking with terror and relief. He hasn't returned to those woods since. I don't really plan on going back, he admits emphatically. The encounter left him convinced that the Pukwudgie remembered him and resented his intrusion. First it had simply observed him. Now it escalated to a physical warning. Chris wondered uneasily what might have happened if he had stayed any longer, or if one of those thrown rocks had hit his head instead of his shoulder. Legends say Pukwudgies love to toy with travellers, and one of their most infamous tricks is the phantom light, a bobbing orb of luminosity that draws the curious ever deeper into danger. A paranormal investigation group from New England discovered just how deadly serious this trickery could be during a visit to Vale End Cemetery in Wilton, New Hampshire. Vale End is an old burial ground, well known in local lore for ghostly phenomena. But in more recent decades, it has gained a more frightening reputation as the hunting ground of something inhuman. Researchers say that Pukwudgies infested the cemetery's surrounding woods, and that these malevolent entities had been causing physical harm to visitors. One investigator, Fiona Broom, famously removed information about Vale End from her website out of fear. She believed the Pukwudgies there were responsible for attacks, and even the death of a friend who had visited the site. Locals told of stories of being shoved or scratched by invisible assailants among the graves. By the time the team arrived, warnings were posted everywhere. Enter at your own risk, and never go alone after dark. Armed with cameras, a small group of investigators ventured into Vale End late one night, determined to separate fact from folklore. Among them was a researcher named Mike, who had heard the tales of the aggressive little troll-like creatures. He was sceptical but alert. The moon was a thin slither. The graveyard lay in gloom beneath the towering trees. As the team spread out among the old headstones, they noticed the silence. For a while, the group only encountered the typical spooky ambience of any old cemetery. Some unexplained wisps of fog, abrupt cold spots, perhaps a fleeting sense of being watched. They began to wonder if the stories were exaggerated. Then the light started. It began at the tree line, beyond the ring of graves. A faint bluish glow flickered between the trunks. Mike caught it out of the corner of his eye, like a lantern bobbing. "Over there," he whispered, and the team hurried toward the spot. But the light winked out. A member of the team thought she heard leaves rustling and quick pattering footsteps. Then another glow appeared, this time off to the right. It flashed and darted further away, deeper into the woods at the cemetery's edge. The group followed, spreading out their flashlights, excitement growing. This light, too, vanished, only for a new one to show up even further in. It dawned on Mike that these lights were leading them on, step by step, away from the entrance. A sense of dread curled in his gut. The playful dancing orbs seemed blatantly strategic. As they pushed toward the newest location of the light, the feeling of being watched became oppressive. Twigs snapped just out of sight, as if small figures were skittering behind the tombstones. One investigator swore she saw a short silhouette dark across the path ahead. The team paused among the silent headstones, suddenly aware of how deep into the cemetery they'd wandered. The gate and road were no longer visible. They were encircled by woods on all sides. It was at that moment the last ghost light faded, and all the lights, even the team's flashlights and camera rigs, briefly sputtered. In the near darkness, soft rustling and pattering footsteps sounded from multiple directions in the fallen leaves. The investigators slowly moved, back to back, a circle of flashlights searching the emptiness between graves. Nothing to be seen, yet the noises grew clearer. They were surrounded. Mike's heart pounded. He had read about this in the lore. Pukwudgies loved to encircle their prey. Primal terror rose in him. Finally speaking out, he said in an urgent tone, "It's time to go, now." He had remembered the warnings that people here had been attacked after letting the creatures flank them. The others didn't need convincing. As one team member later stated, she'd begun to feel a crushing pressure on her chest, a suffocating sense that something unseen was closing in. The team started hastily making their way back toward the path, trying not to break into a panicked run. And that is when the assault began. Out of the darkness flew a shower of small projectiles, sticks and pebbles whizzing past their heads. One woman cried out as she was struck on the leg by a thrown rock. Another investigator felt a stinging slash across his cheek, as if clawed fingers had reached out from the black and swiped him. The group broke into a sprint, dashing between gravestones with beams of light jostling wildly. Behind them, several short figures scampered in the shadows, just barely visible for an instant before disappearing. A flashlight caught a pair of glowing red eyes low to the ground, and a grinning mouth full of sharp teeth. Then it too vanished behind an obelisk. A menacing chattering sound, half laugh, half rasp, echoed among the trees, bouncing from all sides and needling into their ears. By the time the investigators stumbled back onto the main path near the gate, the phenomena stopped as suddenly as it began. The oppressive atmosphere lifted. The forest was quiet once more. Gasping for breath, they clambered out of the cemetery. Only beyond the gates did that crushing sense of dread finally release its hold. The team members hurried to the safety of their vehicle, shaken to their core. In the harsh electric light of the car's interior, they examined their injuries. A bruise here, a shallow cut there. Thankfully, nothing serious. But all of them knew it could have ended much worse. As they later reflected, it felt as if a pack of hunters toyed with them in that graveyard, and that if they hadn't realised the trap when they did, none of them might have made it back out. One investigator swore he heard a last bit of mocking laughter from the darkness as they left. The Vale End incident reinforced every bit of Pukwudgie lore the team had studied. The mysterious lights, the circling ambush, the physical attack. It was all straight out of the old stories. These ancient little creatures of the forest had shown they could harm the living. And unlike a ghost, Pukwudgie was a corporeal being. It left footprints through rocks, wielded claws. The team's only comfort was that they had heeded the warnings in time. Now they joined the chorus of voices cautioning others. Vale End Cemetery is not a place to mess with, nor wander alone. The Pukwudgies there, and in any other haunted wood, will not hesitate to prey on your curiosity and lead you to ruin. The Pukwudgie is not a whimsical fairy to be taken lightly. It's a dangerous entity. In Chris's case, curiosity earned a harsh lesson as the creature in the woods delivered a literal stinging rebuttal to his return. And in the harrowing Vale End encounter, he saw how an age-old trick of ghostly lights almost led to a deadly trap, nearly claiming new victims in a dance of lights and shadows. They are cunning, patient, and wholly unafraid to target humans who cross into their domain. The modern sightings also dispel any notion that Pukwudgies belong solely to the past. They seem to persist in the forgotten areas, in suburban woods at the fringe of a housing estate, in ancient graveyards and protected forests, along lonely roads at midnight. The world has changed around them, yet the Pukwudgie remains, calling from the underbrush and reminding us that there are still mysteries lurking beyond. So if you ever find yourself alone on a moonlit night and catch a glimpse of a tiny humanoid figure between the trees, or a flicker of light where no light ought to be, remember these stories. Do not follow the lights. Do not seek out that creature. Respect the power of the deep, dark woods and the little masters that claim them.
We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise. And that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one. Or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
En Cox estamos un paso adelante, como el muchacho que ya sabe la orden de tu cafecito incluso antes de pedirlo.
Hey, José, café con leche sin lactosa, un toque de vainilla, templadito sin azúcar.
En Cox también nos adelantamos a lo que necesitas. Por eso el precio de tu plan no subirá por 3 años. Y nuestra seguridad avanzada protegerá tu red de amenazas antes de que pasen. Cox, un paso adelante. José, llamada de tu jefe en 3, 2, 1. Al menos 500 megabits por segundo de velocidad y Cox Unlimited Mobile. Impuestos y cargos no incluidos en garantía de precio. Velocidad de datos móviles reducida tras usar 20 gigas al mes.
Oh, I do like these. I'm sure that I've seen a film called Pukwudgie. I don't think it was a small hairy man. I'm pretty sure that the way the Pukwudgie was portrayed in this film, it was like a witch or something. But I'm going to have to rewatch it now because I can't remember But, we all know my brain is really fuzzy. So I could be completely wrong, but I'm sure I remembered it as a witch or something in the woods. Well, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll catch you on the weekend if you're tuning in to After Dark. Take care, everyone.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles Mackenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.